In the previous lecture on Hurricane Charlie and the business owners who raised their prices in the wake of that natural disaster, we touched on a number of fundamental ethical concepts that are going to be coming up for us over and over and over again in our discussions. And I want us to start thinking really carefully about what these concepts mean and how we apply them. Okay, so one of the questions I asked you in that lecture was it fair for the business owners to raise their prices as much as they did in the wake of the hurricane? And that begs a question for us, which is, well, what exactly does it mean that something is fair or unfair? What is fairness? And I'm going to suggest to you that until we can come up with a better definition, that we think of fairness as a justifiable distribution of risks and rewards, or a justifiable distribution of labor, or a justifiable distribution of resources or opportunities, okay? So that by some criteria, we can justify the way that we have distributed out the opportunities, the rewards, the risk, the work, whatever it is that we're having to divvy up among some group of people. So imagine that you have two kids who both come to you and say, I want ice cream, and you have a limited amount of ice cream. Is there any way it could be fair to give the little girl this small scoop of ice cream and the little boy this huge scoop of ice cream? This is an unequal distribution of a limited resource here, the ice cream. Is there any way we can justify this unequal distribution? Is there any way that could be fair, even though it's unequal? And we might say, like, well, yeah, what if the deal was this? That both kids were told you can either have a candy bar and a small scoop of ice cream, or just a big scoop of ice cream and no candy bar. And the little girl chose the candy bar small scoop option, and the little boy chose the big scoop option. Would that be fair? Yeah, maybe. What if the little boy is going to eat nothing else today except this scoop of ice cream? He has no other food coming his way for the whole day. But the little girl is going to get 3 squares. Okay? She's going to get 3 full meals today. Would that justify distributing the ice cream unequally? Yeah, maybe. Now, what about if we distributed the ice cream unequally because we just happen to like boys? We don't like girls. And so our favoritism towards boys is why we've chosen to give the boy the greater share of ice cream than the girl. Would that be fair? And we'd say, like, no, this seems to be crossing a boundary here. That's not sufficient justification for an unequal distribution of ice cream. Now, I want us to start thinking really carefully about this idea of justification, because there's a tension in our culture right now about exactly what serves as appropriate justification for the ways that we treat other people. Okay, so one way we could define fairness and justify fairness is under the principle of equality under the law. That means that the rules apply equally to everyone. So we gave those two kids the choice. You want a candy bar? And a small scoop or a big scoop of ice cream? And we said, okay, that's fair. That's giving both kids an equal opportunity. We're treating them equally. The rules apply to them both. But when we said the boy gets the bigger scoop of ice cream just because he's a boy, we'd say, like, wait a minute here. You're discriminating here. The rules aren't being applied equally. So imagine this situation. You're a principal of a school, and 3 students just got caught cheating for the very first time. None of them has been accused of cheating before. Should they all get the same punishment? They all cheated on the same exam in the same classroom, and none of them has ever cheated before. Should they all get the exact same punishment? Or is there justification for punishing one of them more severely or less severely than any of the others? And in most cases, we say, well, all things being equal, if it really is the case that these girls all have the same kind of behavioral patterns and none of them has been caught cheating before, then it seems like punishing one of them more or less than the others would be kind of unfair. The rules should apply equally to these 3 students as long as the situation is equal for each one of them. So that's one way we could think about fairness, right? Equality under the law, equality of opportunity. In tension with that, though, is the idea of equality of outcome. Okay, so in contrast to rules applying equally to all or equality under the law, another notion of fairness is equality of outcome. You might think about equality of outcome as this way. Let's say, for example, the situation with these 3 students is as I first described. None of them has been caught cheating before. They all have the same behavioral history. They're not just terribly problematic students otherwise, and they've all been caught cheating. But it just so happens that students with blonde hair cheat way more frequently than students with brown hair. Okay, so there's an inequality of outcome here. When we look at the groups of students, we lump them together. Here are the brown-haired students, here are the blonde-haired students. We see that blonde-haired students are getting punished for cheating at a way greater rate than students with brown hair. And so we've got this inequality of outcome. Would it, in that circumstance, be justifiable, would it be fair to punish the two students with brown hair but not the student with blonde hair? Would it be fair to punish the students with brown hair more than the students with blonde hair in order to try to sort of balance this out so that the students with blonde hair are starting to come down to the overall to the level of students with brown hair in terms of their frequency of cheating? Okay, so that's equality of outcome, that we're gonna be able to justify unequal treatment for different people depending on what groups they belong to and what the outcomes are for their different groups. So that's another idea of fairness that we're gonna explore here. So what you want to be thinking for yourself right now is, well, which of these two conceptions of fairness do I think serves as the basis for justifying the ways that opportunities, the ways that resources and risks and rewards are distributed? Do I want the rules to apply equally to all? Or do I want the rules to be applied in such a way as it creates equality of outcome?